So you're trying to build a magic system, but it's starting to feel a little overwhelming, maybe even too complicated, and you're worried your readers aren't going to understand. Well, you are not alone. Crafting magic systems can be tricky, but with the right questions, you can simplify the process and create something truly magical. Hi, I'm A.K. Mulford. I am a best-selling fantasy author and queer neurodivergent chaos gremlin, and while I love building fantasy worlds, it is very easy to get caught up in the minutia of creating these worlds, and all of a sudden you either have something that is either overly complicated or just unnecessarily vague because you're worried that your readers won't be able to keep up with all of your ideas. But fear not, my world-building friends, I have 5 questions that will help you. I'm going to be using my latest fantasy book, A Sky of Emerald Stars, as an example of how I built a music-based magic system. This is a new magic system that was introduced in the second book, but it is a very spoiler light, so you don't have to worry if you haven't read A River of Golden Bones yet. But before we get started, you might be wondering, how much world building should I be including in my book? Well, that's kind of like asking how long is a piece of string. Each author is different. For me, I have ADHD and I like fast-paced storytelling, and so for me, I want my readers to be able to quickly jump into the story and know what's going on and the system of magic that's happening. How much world building you have will also depend on your genre. Paranormal, magic realism, cozy fantasy will all have different amounts that are kind of standard across those genres. I write a blend of fantasy and romance where I want both elements to be doing the heavy lifting, but it does skew slightly more towards the romance side. For me, the heart of my stories is more on the intimate relationships, both the romance and the found family, and not so much on the heavy world building. If you're writing something like, let's say, epic fantasy, you will probably have more world building in your books, but these 5 questions will still help you with the scaffolding that you can build upon. To that end, let's get started with question 1. What kind of powers exist in your world? This is probably the most obvious question, but it is an important one to start with. Can your characters fly? Can they heal incredibly fast? Do they live longer? Are they immortal? Can they conjure storms or manipulate fire elements? Do they perform magical rituals or spells? Maybe they do a lot of these things and your world and magic system is so vast that you don't even know where to begin with it, or you might not even know all of the elements of magic that will be created in your world yet. If you're overwhelmed even thinking about all of the magic that might exist in your world, what I want you to think about is what sort of magic are you going to be showing on page in your book? In A Sky of Emerald Stars, the Songkeepers have greater and lesser magic. The lesser magics are very subtle. They're songs that they sing for comfort and healing, protection, things like that, helping them sleep. Greater magics come in the form of what are called eternal songs, and those can conjure monsters into being and control the beasts as well. These eternal songs are carved into a vase and hidden from the Songkeepers so they aren't tempted to use it because this power comes at a great cost, but more on that later. So now we know what kind of magic we have in the world, it's time for question 2. Who can have this magic in your world? Can anyone in your world develop this magic? Is it something that they're born with? Is it a genetic mutation like X-Men? Are there certain species in your world that can have them? Certain monsters or wizards or things like that. So identify who in your world can use this magic and who can't. If everyone in your world can use this magic, it will obviously be a different story than if only a select few can use it. In A Sky of Emerald Stars, I have 4 different kinds of magic. There is moon magic, which is used by the wolf shifters. There is dying wish magic, which is wielded by the fairies. There's dark magic, death magic, which is used by the sorcerers. And the 4th one is musical magic, which is used by the Songkeepers. This musical magic can only be used by certain humans who are born with this ability to use their magic. So now we know what kind of magic we have and who can wield it. It is time for question 3. How do these powers manifest? Now that we know who can use this magic, how do their powers come about? Do they wake up one day and just have the ability to fly? Are they sent off to a school or have a mentor who helps them hone their magical skills? Do they have to perform some sort of magical ritual or climb to the top of a mountain to be able to manifest their powers? In A Sky of Emerald Stars, the Songkeepers are born with their magic, but it isn't fully developed until a Songkeeper identifies their ability to cast that magic and teaches them the songs. So it is a tradition that is passed down from generation to generation in this specific sect. All right, question number 4. What is the cost of this magic? Is their power infinite? Can they keep using it forever? Does their magic get depleted and they have to take a rest or somehow refuel themselves of this magic? Is their magic conjured or created, instigated by things like potions or incantations? Knowing what it costs to use this magic, even if there isn't a price, is something that's valuable for your readers to know, and it will help you fine-tune your world. In A Sky of Emerald Stars, the Songkeepers can use their song magic infinitely for their lesser magics like songs of healing and protection. But the eternal songs are forbidden because they come at a great price. Singing the eternal songs can create a byproduct of death magic, and that can be used to turn things into evil sorcerers and all sorts of chaos in the world. So it is very dangerous. Even though it doesn't come with a personal price to the Songkeepers themselves, it is forbidden to be used for that reason. Although we will come to find out in the story that maybe there are some times when it is still worth using it. All right, we only have one more question to ask ourselves when creating our magic systems, and this is the one I think gets most often overlooked. But before we jump into question 5, if you are finding this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. And if you want to know more about A Sky of Emerald Stars, or if you find it intriguing and want to jump into the book, I will put the link to read this in the description of the video as well. All right, the 5th and final question. How does your magic impact your world? Does the world just keep ticking along while this magic is happening in secret? Do other people even know it exists? Is it something that has a huge power imbalance? Do the ruling class have this ability to wield this magic and people that they're ruling over don't? Having the ability to, let's say, conjure money would have a big impact on your world. I think sometimes people create these magic systems because they think it would be really cool to have these powers, but they don't think about how people would use them in practicality and how that might create power imbalances, different societies, structures set up around different things. If everybody can fly everywhere, why do you have roads? You know, things like that. So asking yourself how this magic impacts your world and what it's like to live in a world that wields this magic will be really important to making it more realistic and lived in. In A Sky of Emerald Stars, the Songkeepers seem kind of innocuous at first. Their lesser magics don't seem that big of a deal, and nobody really knows about them. They're kind of this secret group. But as you come to realize their greater magics have huge impacts like creating sorcerers, you realize that their magic has inadvertently created the fall of a whole kingdom. And as we venture from A Sky of Emerald Stars into Book 3, all of this magic is going to be coming to a head, and there's going to be basically a fight for power between all of these different magical systems. So there you have it. Those are 5 questions to ask yourself. I look forward to hearing more about your magical systems in the comments. Once you answer these 5 questions, you should have a pretty solid grasp of the magic in your world, and so should your readers. All right, happy world building friends, get out there and write some awesome magic systems because I selfishly want to read them.